Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Obamacare and socialism. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As you may have heard, a federal court ruled yesterday that the feds cannot provide health care insurance subsidies because the Obamacare law prohibits it. That ruling was almost immediately countered by another court, but there's no question Obamacare is heading back to the Supreme Court because it's so chaotic. 3/4 of the American public may not be covered by Obamacare because 36 states have refused to set up exchanges, and according to the law, only the states can provide direct subsidies. The federal government cannot. Now, the reason there's so much chaos surrounding the law is that our congresspeople and senators didn't even read it before they voted in 2010.
Prevention. It's about diet, not diabetes. It's going to be very, very exciting. But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
It certainly has been exciting. Mrs. Pelosi was derided for that comment, but it was absolutely accurate. The pinheads in Congress passed Obamacare and didn't know what was in it. Even President Obama didn't know what was in the bill. But the overriding issue here is not the minutia of Obamacare. It is the use of taxpayer dollars. Obamacare is a pure income redistribution play. That means President Obama and the Democratic Party want to put as much money into the hands of the poor and less affluent as they can. And health care subsidies are a great way to do just that. And of course, the funds for those subsidies are taken from businesses and affluent Americans who have the cash. Income redistribution is a hallmark of socialism, and we in America are now moving in that direction. That has angered the Republican Party and many conservative Americans who do not believe our capitalistic system was set up to provide cradle-to-grave entitlements. But Republicans have not been able to convince the majority of Americans that income redistribution is harmful. Mitt Romney was not able to make the case that America will suffer economically if the entitlement culture expands. And the case is simple. Businesses contract, so there are fewer jobs, and the massive federal debt rises, diminishing the value of the dollar. That's what an entitlement culture and income redistribution bring. But believe me, many Americans, perhaps most, have no clue about what I just said. And enough of them want free stuff, so they continue to elect the pro-entitlement politicians. Therefore, Obamacare is much more than providing medical access to the poor. It's about capitalism versus socialism. But now, because the law is so nebulous, the Supreme Court will once again get the chance to weigh in, perhaps this time dooming the law forever. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, another view. Joining us from Chicago, Austin Goolsbee, former top economic advisor to President Obama. So, Mr. Goolsbee, let's keep it simple so even I can understand it. Where am I going wrong?
Well, look, I think in two ways. First, it's not socialism versus capitalism. I think that unless you think Social Security and Medicare and the other entitlements that we have now are socialism.
No, we pay into those.
I don't. I think this,
we pay into those.
Yes, and people pay into this. The premise of
no,
this
in Obamacare,
was
it's a straight flat-out purchase. Wait, Mr. Goolsbee. Yeah. And Obamacare is a straight, flat-out purchase of health insurance, all right? So we're all forced to buy health insurance now, all of us in America, or we get fined by the IRS, all right? But it is not a subsidy that comes to everyone that we pay into like Social Security and Medicare. It stands on its own as the biggest income redistribution project in the history of the nation. You know that.
See, I don't, by that measure, Social Security is a bigger income redistribution
we pay into
project.
Social Security.
Everyone has to buy insurance. You still have to pay.
We didn't until Obamacare was passed.
All this does is try to keep the price at the most people will have to pay is 10% of their income. That's the sense in which there's the redistribution you're describing, but that's the same sense in which it exists in Medicare.
Mr. Goolsbee, you have 40 million Americans, all right, going to get, if they can get around this law, which is so screwed up, I can't believe it, free or subsidized health care, all right? Social Security you don't get unless you pay into it, so you know the difference. So let's move the conversation along.
Okay.
Would you agree that the law is badly written?
I think it's impossible to dispute that.
Okay, excellent. So that's a good starting point.
Yes.
So that you and me, and we come at the socialization of this differently, because I don't believe in income redistribution. I believe in safety nets. I certainly believe in those. But I don't believe it is fair or constitutional to take from those who have and give to those who have not, whereupon I believe you do and many other liberals do. Would I be wrong in saying that?
How would you pay for the safety net? I don't understand.
Well, you pay for the safety net by taxation, as you would pay for a highway construction. Yes. It's the same kind of priority, all right? But actively taking from the high wage earners and businesses and giving to those who don't have, just as a way to balance income, I don't believe is constitutional.
I do not believe that's what this is doing. In this case, everyone must buy their insurance. The question is,
except for 40 million people who get it free.
At what price? But you get some subsidy up to something like $100,000 a year.
All right, it's a giveaway. You know it is. The Supreme Court. I think now, when they get a second crack at it, they're going to say federal government cannot provide direct subsidies, has to come through the states, and 36 states say we don't want any part of it. I will predict on this program right now that's what's going to happen.
You are more of a constitutional scholar than I am. I don't know that much about it. I do know.
Would you be willing to bet against me?
I think I would be willing to bet against you, because conservatives are always talking about the original intent, and it's obvious that the original intent of this law was not to prevent the subsidies
that may be true, but that's not what it says.
Well, there's ambiguity about what it says.
No, there's not. It says the states are to provide the subsidies, not the federal government. I read it. It says it. Pelosi may not know it. Obama may not know it. You may not know it. But I saw it. Last word.
The question is, it says many things in different places. In this case, I think we are going to see pressure that's going to make Obamacare more popular if they try to shoot it down, because the places where the subsidies exist, places that don't get it are going to say, why can't we have that?
Well, it won't be hard to make Obamacare more popular, because here is brand new polling information. Do you approve of Obamacare? 41% approve, 54% don't. So it's not going to be hard to make it more popular, but I don't even think that's going to happen. You know, Mr. Goolsbee, I really like talking to you, and I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.